We said that, this whole time we were talking about the lab leak, and that was the narrative that was not allowed on all social media platform. Because back then Trump said it, Joe Rogan said it, scientists and doctors said it. It was a bunch of people who came out and said it, and we all got bashed. Andrew Schultz said it. We all got bashed. We were all called racist. We were all called conspiracy theorists. We were called all this and this, that by social medias and CNN and MSNBC, CNBC, ABC. They all disqualified that thought because Trump said it, so it must be false. And he said a lot of shit too. So, he's not really qualified there.
Well, see, I think I know me personally, the reason at that point I stopped believing anything Trump said, because we already got the proof that he didn't take it serious. Right. So at that point, you had to take anything that came out of Trump's mouth with a grain of salt.
Right.
Now, someone else that was maybe a little more credible would have came out around this time and said this.
No, there were. So there was.
I didn't really look into this that much.
There was specific doctors and specific scientists that came out and had published YouTube videos talking about it, and they were banned. They were removed.
That's why I probably didn't get the chance to see them.
So no, I knew a lot of fucking people that fucking were saying it, and then we're gonna tie this into Fauci and how he's in a whole nother mess, but you can't find it on CNN because they're not talking about it.
Mm-hmm. I just found it on CNN, but
not on their IG.
No, I'm looking at their web page.
Okay. Or but they're not really they're not really blasting the story.
Yeah, they're not blasting him. It's more just saying what happened. You're not gonna kill him. They're on his side.
Yeah. Anyways, but so on the episode we talked about it, and I was just like, yo, you know what? It doesn't take a rocket fucking scientist to understand that there were a lot of reports that came out earlier in the beginning, and then they were saying like, hey, this might have no relations to bats anyways. And there was a lot of traits from this virus that definitely seemed like it came from a lab. And then if you do just the geological thing, the one research lab happened to be in Wuhan that researches viruses specifically. It doesn't take a rocket scientist for somebody to be like, hey, maybe we should look into that. We're not here to be racist or xenophobic like people were saying or whatever it is. We're just saying hey, maybe you should look into that. So we're saying it, and then our video got taken down, and now suddenly the narrative is cool with the media, so I guess we can talk about it. So we're gonna talk about it now.
To be fair,
only thing this is hey, my fuck you moment. I was never wrong. And a lot of people was never wrong.
To be fair though, the only thing I would be able to say, if I'm trying to play devil's advocate, maybe it was a sensitive time then, so maybe YouTube was just trying to, be smart about. It's hard to say because they let certain information get out, I guess, on both sides. Bro. So maybe they was just trying to be smart about whatever they put out.
Bro, you don't have to sugarcoat anything.
I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
You don't have to sugarcoat anything. A year back, anything Trump said, the media went the left. The opposite way. Yes. So he said that, they were like, no, it's false. He said this, no, it's false. The only he said a lot of false things. No, it's not a hoax, it's real. But two things that he said that had validity behind it. One was the lab leak. Two, the Z-Pack and what is it? Hydrochloroquine. That shit worked because there's a lot of people came out and said, yo, this shit actually saved me when I was in the hospital. So the two things that have validity behind it, they all came out and bashed it just because he said it. Now, the reason why I hate it because
I think with the hydro shit, it wasn't more that he was wrong, but the doctors didn't have all the information yet. They were still testing it, so they didn't want him to just go out here and say this because he's the president. If you go out and just say that, oh, this could basically cure COVID or prevent it, and people are going out and getting this, and we're not, and the doctors weren't really at that point. They weren't sure. You're right. Some people.
Yeah, but he specifically came out with a paper that from certain doctors that advised him that worked. It's not like he's just pulled it out of his ass. Now I had now the thing that was happening was Brandon Sharp was ex MMA fighter. He's always on Joe Rogan podcast. He has a bunch of podcasts himself. He caught it. He went to the doctor, and the doctor asked him, it's like, hey, before I ask you this question, may I know like where are your politics are leaning? And Brandon Shaw was like, what the fuck do you mean? He's like, yeah, like this is kind of important. He's like, what? He's like, okay, because I would highly recommend you prescribing you CPAC and hydrochloroquine, but currently right now, like a lot of Democrats are willing to take that because Trump said it, and he's like, dude, I don't give a fuck if it works. It worked. Just give it to me. And he took it, and
that's fine. I don't care what the Democrats
and it fucking worked. So
I don't care what the Democrats or Republicans say. I'm going off of what the science says.
Right, and then now going back to the science. So who was our science guy?
Fauci.
Okay, well, our science guy turns out that he doesn't actually always state the fact. He has his own narrative, and he's driven his own narrative this whole time.
Yeah, his narrative is supposed to. Well, I don't know if it's his own narrative. He says it's more of the government's.
He
narrative.
says it's the science, but okay, science one thing, but he flip flop. First, he was like, "Don't wear a mask." Second, it was like, "Oh, okay, only people with COVID wear a mask." And after, it's like, everybody should wear a mask. And then after, like, everybody should double mask. And then it was like, "Oh, even if you're vaccinated, you should wear a mask." And then, "Oh, actually, no, if you're vaccinated, you don't." So, bro, stop saying you're using scientific fact to state your argument, because you're not.
Fauci?
Yes. And you were in charge of the whole AIDS thing in the 80s. That didn't very go well for you either. So let's not even go there. Your track record is flawed to begin with, and you were put onto this platter, and you're now about to have a book coming out. I think he won the Emmy or something, or he was
Emmy,
like,
he didn't win an
he
Emmy.
won something.
Oh, that was I'm thinking of
and the
you're thinking of Cuomo.
Cuomo, yes.
Like,
Okay, so with
Fauci
Fauci,
doing no
so
goddamn
with Fauci recently, his emails were released, and there was a lot of juicy details in his emails, and some of the things I just want to point out is, well, one, back in January, he knew of the whole lab leak because one of the people had emailed talking to him about, like, hey, maybe there's a lot of traits here that we think could possibly coming from a lab leak. And he acknowledged that, and he responded to it. We'll look into it, but then he comes out and he says a bunch of shit debunking it, saying there's no way it could have been a lab leak. There's a bunch of traits that referring this to be a virus that came from bat, but that's not that has been proven either. So he played a huge part in debunking the whole lab leak theory when he knew about it back in January, according to the emails. That's one thing. And then another thing, that he lied under Congress about it when they asked him of the lab leak theory to Ron Paul. I think it was Ron Paul. They asked him. And so now he's in some deep shit for that. And so this whole thing kind of comes back around, which is like, yo, like, he was a part of an organization called the NIH, and they turned out, oh, this is another lie that he caught upon. They happen to be a donor to the gain of function theory. Gain of function theory. Gain of function theory research.
You're talking about.
Gain of function theory research is the type of research that they were doing. When it came, it's a virus, related type of research that they were doing in the lab.
Mm-hmm.
That was the research, and that was the cause of the lab leak. Now, the organization that he's a part of, which is an American base, happened to donate to the research, and he denied it. Later on, he was like, well, yes, I donated it, but I didn't know it was for gain of function related research. So first time he was under Congress, he said, no, we never donated it to the Wuhan lab. Then afterward, he said, yes, we did, but not specifically for that research. And so he's been caught in so much lie with Congress that now, like, the emails and the lies, it's all catching up, and it's not doing us any good.
So it's basically time for everybody to come clean. That's what it sounds like.
For Fauci to come clean.
Not just him, for everybody involved.
Right. But he's
too, because he's the one caught in the middle.
He's the speaker for all. Yeah.
But it's pretty much time for everybody to just
come clean.
Come out and just say what the fuck happened.
Right.
Whether it was fucking from a bat, a bird, or the fucking lab.
Right. So
we need to figure out what happened so we can correct this and go back to normal already.
Exactly. So the reason why people are so mad, and the reason why like a lot of Republicans and people are like getting on his ass, is because, you know, this whole time like we were being called racist and all this shit when it didn't have to be. Like, people just want to get down to the root so that you can solve the problem. You can't solve a problem. You can't get down to the roots of the problem.